Hi all, I have another fascinating game of Paul Morphy to show you. It was against Adolf Anderssen. Now Raymond Keane believes that both of these players should be included in a lineup of world chess champions, and we would actually start off with Le Bourdonnais 1834 to 1840, and then Anderssen from 1851 to 1858, and then Morphy from 1858 to 1860. This is the opinion of Raymond Keane. And actually some other people have shared this view that they're kind of unofficial world chess champions. But these two, the best in the world, playing against each other in 1858. So that's an intersection year. If you look at Keane's, what world champion Keane considers there. So a very interesting year this for their clash, both at their peak. But this was a casual game played in Paris, France, 1858. So e4, e5, we have the King's Gambit. And then maybe they didn't play the King's Gambit as much in the actual tournament games, not as much. But here, in this casual game, we have a lot of fun with the King's Gambit accepted. G5, H4, G4, Knight E5, Knight F6. White takes time out to take this pawn. He's fragmented the pawns here, but this knight's been moving around a lot so far. Knight takes E4, taking a centre pawn. And what's even worse is how is this handled? Knight G3. So this is very, very interesting, energetic play now by White, trying to exploit the fact the king is still in the centre. You might think a move like Queen E2. Let's have a quick check on Queen E2. Just Queen E7 actually. Queen E7 is sufficient here. Yeah, that's fine actually, just to play Queen E7. So in the game we actually have a very, very interesting move D3, just positively inviting Knight G3. And instead of, now, let's see, do you move the rook? Or do you do something else? I might have given it away there. What do you do with White here, if I give you 5 seconds? But can you see a follow-up which has any meaning whatsoever, though, whatever you do? Have you got a follow-up in mind? So I'll give you 5 seconds to pause the video, do some analysis on this position. Do you move the rook? And what if you need, don't you need to protect this pawn as well? Now White goes on the offensive. Bishop takes f4, just sacrifices the rook, which is holding the pawn. And there's a very, very important point here off the check. The first point is that Bishop E7, can you see it can be refuted totally? Bishop E7 with check and a cute checkmate there. But, so the main point is expecting Queen E7, but there's a move here, or there's a sequence here which is great to consider at least. White's already invested a rook though. So I cannot say it's convincingly winning this continuation, but it's interesting. White's plays Knight F6 check, and can you see what White plays here? 5 seconds. Okay, another investment of a bishop. So it's rook and bishop that's been invested, and it seems just to win the queen, but it's 3 pieces. You might think it's 3 whole pieces. And if black gets another move in, rook e8 and bishop b4 check is nasty. And also, what about this pawn here? Morphy plays queen g4. It's not over yet. It's 3 pieces for the queen. d6 harassing the queen. Queen f4. And now queen h2. If another move, queen h2, that simultaneously holds this pawn and hits the knight. Rook g8. And now, instead of going for that knight, it's pointless now. G3 is covered. Yeah, I mean, let's just check here. If we go for the knight, I think just knight G3, and black's actually doing very well there. So White has to play energetically here. He plays queen takes f7, offering that h4 pawn. Now rook e8, and it's awkward. This is awkward and this is awkward. This control and this bishop g5 potential. So in fact, to keep the c3 square available to the king, knight a3 is played. It looks a little bit of a drunken knight there, but it means contact with e1. It's protecting e1, and also the king's got c3 on any check. Just to show this, if knight c3 was played, you know, check is horrible. Knight g3, and then there's bishop g4 after, and things are getting pretty nasty here for white. It's very passive. So knight a3 is actually what's needed. We have knight a6, and now queen h5. This is very nice to try and get some material back. Bishop f6. Maybe black was banking on getting some material here, because it seems an awkward configuration to say the least. But there's a little bit of a surprise here after bishop takes b2. Queen h4 check is remarkably useful in this position. If king c7, then there's knight b5 check, escaping material loss. King goes to d7, and now a good move. Can you see? Rook b1, yeah, maintains material because on taking, check. Yeah, and here black resigned. He's actually material down now. Yeah, it's an interesting game. Also, by the way, of note, d4 is also a very strong move, probably maybe even stronger. So in fact, because of this crossfire here, this complementary crossfire against the king, the e8 rook is loose. So if takes, check, and we win that rook over there. Now, black had some chances though with the extra material, and you might think, well, you know, on bishop takes h4, was that needed? Because there were some loose pieces lying around. If you know, check this out technically, if perhaps that wasn't the best, because it's potentially leaving loose pieces around. You know, a continuation like this is very tricky for white. If the knight gets out, 3 pieces of the queen is tricky. Technically, you know, it should be even a small edge for black actually. So maybe there's a little bit of luck, but it was just a casual game really. Let's put it in context. And it's just a very, very aesthetically pleasing casual game between two of the strongest players in the world. So another nice little game there, and it's collected by many people at Chess Games Comments. One of the favourites, you know, for good reason. It's just aesthetically very interesting. The rook sack, the 3 pieces. I mean, it's a very interesting dynamic in this game. And the year of the game, it's a great intersection year where they're both really strong at the peak of their powers. Okay, comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks very much.